Hello, Star Familia, Soul Star Familia, and welcome back to Soul Stars of the Violet Flame. In this particular video, we are going to do a bit more storytelling with the Starseeds, and this time we are going into the Starseed Oracle deck, also by Rebecca Campbell. With this deck, however, the artwork is by a different artist with the name Danielle Noel. As for with the Rose Oracle, the artwork is done by Katie Louise. So shout out to Danielle Noel and Katie Louise both for creating these fabulous collaborations with Rebecca. All right, we're just going to go ahead and go right into the story and see what is going to come out from these Starseed cards to tell us a bit more about our lineage, the truth about creation, here we go. Continuing on with our Starseed story. Let's just see whatever comes out, comes out. Tell us a bit more about our Starseed story. And out comes trust the timing. This is like the 4th time in 2 months I've seen this card come out. So it's extremely significant. Let's zoom in so we can get a closer look. Trust the timing. I'm hearing trust the wave that we came in on because it is authentic and unique to us, beloveds. Trust the wave, as it will not disappoint. And of course, guiding us to bear in mind not to race ahead and ride a wave that was never meant for us, as it would be a waste of our precious time. With this card, we're being guided to trust the season we are in. And it came out recently in another session that season had just changed. Although externally it looks like, oh, well, in the northern hemisphere we are still in the summer. But the season can mean many different things, not necessarily in literal or physical form. Time is not running out. There's plenty of time and there's no rush, and it's never too late. No need to spend our life worrying that we may miss our moment. The only way to miss our life or our moment is to spend our time worrying about missing it. It's never too late to answer a calling, and we are never too old. The tides of our life are magnificently orchestrated to come in and out in perfect unison. Don't let impatience Comparison, competition, or paranoia disturb the seeds. Being guided to keep our mind and body pointed in the same direction as our soul is near impossible at such reactive speeds. It seems everyone has anxieties lately, constantly scanning for something we might have missed or a possible threat. Take a breath and trust the wave you came in on. Wait, it's not time yet. Things are being woven. Well, it seems as though this card is pairing rather well with the first one that came out. Things are being woven in our fast, loud, reactive, comparative world where an instant response is so often expected and at times even a currency. It can feel almost impossible to take a breath, let alone give ourselves the space to rest, wait, and reset. We're so often in overdrive, expecting instantaneous results over and over again, and when guidance doesn't come out at these extreme speeds, it can feel as though something's gone wrong. But often, not receiving guidance is guidance in itself. When you ask for guidance and don't receive it, it can often mean wait. It's not time yet. The details are being woven. Our challenge is to keep trusting when, on the surface, it appears that nothing's happening. To remember that no matter how long or bitter the winter, spring does always come. To remember that you don't need to solve all of the world's problems in a single day, and that perhaps they'll be better solved with some perspective and a good night's sleep. This card is your permission to slip, to slow down, switch off, and rest. You're being reminded to have patience and to trust the mystery of life, to trust that things are being woven on your behalf. These messages are also somewhat synchronizing with the messages that came from the Rose Oracle spread I did before this one, which is currently uploading. So you may want to go check that one out. Once it's uploaded, I'm actually going to change the title slightly. I'm just going to be adding more, the word more, to the very beginning. So it will be more storytelling with Starseeds. Until then, it is whatever it's going to be as it posts. Yes, this card is permission to slip, to slow down, switch off, and rest. Trust that things are being woven on your behalf. It may not be happening to the timeline you'd like, but if you gather up the patience, it'll be orchestrated better than you can ever imagine. And the soul inquiry with this card is, how can you slow down, be more patient, and wait? Well, let's just see what comes out. How can we slow down, be more patient, and wait? Okay, well, we just had a bunch of cards come out. There is 5 of them all together, so this may just very well be the story for this video. Let's get right into it. How can we slow down, be more patient, and wait? This card may very well be the answer to that question. Fall into my arms. Surrender, holding the opposites, extremes of life. Well, that card in and of itself seems like a pretty darn good answer to that question. Let's see what the guidebook has to say about fall into my arms. The Great Mother ushered you in when you took your first breath, and she will be there when you draw your last. She knows how challenging life can be, that being human can be lonely and confusing, that the polarity and separation can be excruciating when your soul remembers the oneness of Source. But at the same time, it can be incredibly glorious and sweet. So often we see things as either good or bad. When things go well, we make it mean that we're being rewarded, and when things are bad, then perhaps we've done something wrong. However, we're all here to expand and grow, and it's through the extremes of life that we do exactly that. You're being invited to welcome the highs and the lows of the human experience, to let them initiate you more fully into life. The agony and the ecstasy, the beauty and the bitterness. The life is but a single breath. I almost said the beauty and the beast. Interesting reference there. Oh goodness, the beauty and the bitterness. The life is but a single breath in the inextinguishable existence of your experience as a soul. The Great Mother wants you to hand over your loneliness, worries, hurt, sorrow, fears, burdens, and doubts, to lay them on her altar, to fall fully into her arms, to remember that while these extremes are difficult, they can also be magnificent. The more wildly the pendulum of your life swings, the more truthfully you can say, I've truly lived. And then there is an activation for this card. Place your hand on the portal of your heart and whisper the following. I'm ready to embrace the extremes of my life. I lay all that I'm carrying onto the Great Mother's altar and fall completely into her arms. The next card to come out is Loosen Your Grip. Coping mechanisms, density, addiction, let God in. Some of you may actually be dealing with this scenario right here as we speak. You're being guided to ask God to take the wheel. to agree that the only time you are the passenger, so to speak, is when Source takes the wheel. We are cyclic beings, beloveds. Feeling moved to also zoom in on this image, so that's what we're going to do. Again, let God in. We're cyclic beings, and Mother Earth teaches us how to be human every day with the coming and going of the tides and the seasons. If you're clinging to anything, you're resisting the natural flow of who you are. The things we cling to are those we most need to let go of. The food, the substances, the relationship, the job, the people-pleasing. The things we cling to often cover up our most vulnerable space. The part we're most afraid to leave empty, the part we guard and don't let God into. But by keeping that space covered with something that doesn't serve us, or clinging to it for fear of it not staying of its own accord, we prevent ourselves from receiving the things that will. A Course in Miracles tells us whatever we leave empty, grace will fill. And, the Buddha said, you can only lose what you cling to. Indeed, both are true. If this card appears, you're being called to find the courage to loosen your grip and give up control, to release your coping mechanisms and leave space for grace and God to enter, to surrender all that feels dense to the divine. Loosening your grip doesn't mean that what you're clinging to will go away. It may, or it might stay, but you can be sure that what is for you will find you. And you'll breathe easier knowing that you've shifted from relying on your own strength to surrendering to the grace of life. So our next inquiry is, what are you clinging to for fear of nothing coming to take its place? We have the High Wraith, longing for home, homesick for the stars. Interesting, homesick for the stars. Ooh, that's deep, yo. That's deep. Longing for home. The word itself, High Wraith, is like a key word to describe homesickness, referring to a longing, a yearning for home, or a place to which we cannot return. This unexplainable, unshakable longing for home is common in starseeds and old souls. Much like myself, you may have had it since birth. For some, it's a distant memory of a planet, galaxy, or star system in the universe that our soul remembers and yearns to return to, a place we may have experienced more than Earth. For others, it's a longing for the unity of Source, a remembering of interconnected oneness. This yearning can lead some starseeds to travel, searching all corners of the planet to find a physical place that's more like home. For others, it can manifest as a need to find home in people, communities, and relationships. A journey to find somewhere they truly belong. If you resonate with this yearning for home but don't really know where home is, you're being invited to remember that your soul chose to be on earth. You're being called to fully commit to embody your life. You're being reassured that you didn't come here alone and that your soul consciously decided to experience what it's like to be a soul in a human body on this planet at this time. You're being called to anchor all of your presence, your personality, your soul, and your spirit in the here and now. To fully commit to living this life right now. To commit to putting 2 feet in completely. And then the next inquiry or activation is, how can you commit more fully to your life? Understand all paths lead home was the 4th card to come out. Inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. Interestingly enough, we went from a card that represents longing or homesickness to the card that simply states all paths lead to home. Being guided to go within that inner temple. Turning our gaze inward. It's normal to look to the external world for answers and guidance. What's revolutionary is turning your gaze inward. You're being called to source your guidance from within, to study the terrain of your inner landscape, to develop a reliable relationship with your soul. The more time you spend connecting with your soul, the deeper connection will become. The challenge for empaths is staying connected without cutting off the world. The best way to do this is to develop a daily practice that helps you to keep checking in, to draw on the wisdom within and let that be the authority of your life. If this card appears, you may be called to develop or switch up your spiritual practice, to get in the habit of turning your gaze within, getting centered for the day before consuming anything from the outside world, to start from a feeling of at-homeness, which is why I decided to start the day with the Starseed cards instead of going into the tarot and other oracles. And it seems as though we are synchronizing yet again with the authority in our lives. To get centered before consuming anything from the outside world. To start from a feeling of at-homeness and throughout each day to find simple ways to keep coming home. This doesn't mean switching off from the realities of today's world. We need as many conscious people as possible living with their eyes wide open. Rather, it's a call to start your day from a place of connectedness, grace, and devotion. So when you go out into the world and when you let the world in, you do it from an unshakable state of being. A state where you draw your strength, authority, and guidance from a place deep within. And then the next inquiry is, how are you being called to turn your gaze within? And the final card to come out of that shuffle is, just one second. Your life is a canvas, artist, manifestation, and creative accountability. Creative accountability, interestingly enough. One minute we're being told to rest, the next minute we're being told to manifest. Oh, goodness. We are the artists of our life. And our life is a canvas. Take responsibility for your ability to create. Earth is known as a planet of manifestation. Your present moment is based on your past thoughts and beliefs. Your current thoughts determine your future. What kind of life do you want to create for the future? What are you being called to create? Reconnect with your manifesting power and align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the vibration that matches them. It's never too late to start, and no experience is required. All you need is an open heart and mind and consistent daily action. If you're not sure what you'd like to create, start instead with a feeling of deep gratitude for all that's good in your life right now. State out loud what you're most thankful for. Look for the good in your life, and one thing will be certain: you'll find yourself attracting more and more good experiences into your world. This card is inviting you to see your entire life as a canvas, and the picture is completely up to you. Color it with your thoughts and feelings. Create the life that you most long to live. You may also be called to be more creative in your everyday life. What have you been called to create? How can you express yourself more creatively? So let's inquire from the deck. We'll make one more full pass. 2727 on the timer, telling me that that was the best decision for the remainder of these messages. And then we will also be taking a look at the angel number 2727. And two cards came out. We have Star Brothers coming out again. This is the second time I've seen this one. Horus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, and trust. As well as weight of the world, boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. So we're going to go into Star Brothers first. I'm actually going to go into the guidebook for this one as well, because I'm not very familiar with this card. And I'm not really picking up anything intuitively other than some kind of mirroring that seems to be occurring here. So, let's see. What the guidebook has to say about this card. Being called to be open to receiving on a whole new level. You're more protected than you can imagine. It's safe to open the back of your heart. You're being called to be open to receive a new level of support now, from those in your life and from the benevolent beings you're connected with. Your ancestral patterning, current life traumas, and past life karmic impressions, many of us have become mistrustful and suspicious of loyalty, and have blocks when it comes to receiving support. We've learned that we need to go at life alone, that it's not safe to let our guard down and our heart open, that the world isn't a friendly place. The Star Brothers want you to have a new experience of life on Earth. They want you to feel deeply secure and safe, even if you're going through a difficult time. They want you to hand over your fears to them, to see them as opportunities to let in more love. They're guiding you to stay open to receiving a greater level of support than you can ever imagine, both in this world and beyond, to calling your team of loyal protectors and supporters, both physically and energetically. They want you to learn to soften through life's ups and downs, and to learn to open your heart, especially when it wants to harden. How can you open yourself up to receiving more support? The weight of the world, boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. And by letting it go, we can trust both our internal and external connections. But, of course, discern, discern, discern. Choose wisely in terms of how we share the weight of the world. We don't need to carry it all. We're no good to anyone if we're running on empty and bogged down by the weight of the world. This card is a reminder to look after our own well-being before anyone else's, and this confirms a message that I shared in my first video utilizing the Rose Oracle in a spread for the first time on this channel. To stop carrying in the world's problems on your shoulders, to put on your own oxygen mask first. In these changing times, it's hard not to feel overwhelmed by the state of the planet. However, you can't take on its problems from a place of energetic depletion. This card is thanking you for caring so much. You want to build a better world and ease the road for others, and that's incredible. But the way you've been doing so is likely unsustainable. This isn't to say you should switch off to the world's problems and become unconscious. Rather, it's a call to establish clear boundaries so you're not constantly taken out energetically. The planet needs you healthy, both physically and emotionally. So, instead of digesting the news or reaching for your phone as soon as you wake up, show up first to a nourishing practice such as meditation, soul inquiry, deep breathing, or exercising in nature. Once you're in a state of grace and your inner well is full, you can face the day and care for others. And at the day's end, take an energetic shower by emptying out anything that's not yours to carry. You can pick it up again the next morning if you so choose, but give yourself time and space to rejuvenate and rest. So the inquiry for this card, and something for you to think about as we draw this to a close, is what are you carrying that isn't even yours? So that concludes this portion of today's sessions, beloved. I hope these messages find you well. Thank you so very much for tuning in. In my next session, I will be breaking out the Work Your Light deck. So there we have it. Brightest blessings.